All right, if you watch any of my videos over the last couple of weeks, you'll have known that I've been talking a lot about height and height retakes and why it basically just doesn't work at all. The reason for this is because basically everybody is using the shockwave grenades combined with the flowberry fizz grenade to just fly up on height from the backside inside of Storm like this. You can see Scroll is using chug splashes to heal him and Sky up. They sit, they get a nade each, they fly themselves up, and then they go on height. This game in particular, this, by the way, this is not a good example because Scroll literally just dies. It's right here. But this game in particular had 7 different teams doing this, 7 different height retakes. You can see it's all going crazy up there. And I basically said this is not the meta. However, something very interesting has changed. Now, this is the spreadsheet that I used for grand finals. This is just EU. And you can see here, this is the height retakes I counted from these matches here. And there was 1.9 a game. I've already explained the spreadsheet specifically on this channel and in my main channel video where I talked about the grand finals performances. And you can notice there's a lot of overdrive from backside, overdrive, 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 overdrive. Every single team is just overdriving from either below or in the Storm behind to try and retake height. And that culminated in an average of 1.9 height retakes a match. So basically twice a match, you were getting teams shockwaving or overdrive nading on height and successfully retaking it from you. So I was saying the overdrive meta means that height basically cannot work if you try to hold it early. And the only real way to do that is by doing what Veno does. I don't know why I emphasized Veno so much in that sentence, but yes, Veno is probably, and Curve, can't forget Curve, probably the most successful example of this. Whereas you see they got to the front side. This is the 10th zone. Thank you, replay mode, for still seeing 0 not being fixed. They're now playing the Storm. They've got a shockwave effect on. They run all the way back, which is super duper deep in. Place a bunch of floors, get a fizz bomb down. Now this is a position here. If I zoom out from this here, you'll see they're so far back into the Storm, like miles and miles and miles in. If I go over to here from their POV, if they try to loop back, the chance of them seeing them is so low because there's so many builds in the way. So the best way to execute this is doing this late. This is going to be basically the end of the 10th zone. Hit the fizz bomb, pop the pizza to heal, use a grenade, ADS with the burst as you go, boom, insta-kill someone, and now you have height. So basically the meta has now switched to completely the exact opposite of what I've just showed you, which is interesting because most of the time metas change is because a new item is implemented into the game. However, no new items have entered the loot pool. It's just purely based on what has been successful and then counters to that. So this is now my second spreadsheet of the day. It's a new tab in this same one. And this is from the most recent Division Cup on EU, and I also have one on NA as well. Now, you will notice the height retakes per match here is 1, which is, half of that of what it was in the grand finals. And then on NA, it's 0.8. So significantly less. Both regions have way more teams who are not retaking height. Basically, you're able to hold height for way longer. All right, so this game I'm in right now, where I'm flying my camera around, is the first game of the Division Cup finals, where I want to show you this. You can see that Pix and Ghost have claimed height at the start of this moving zone, literally just because no one else has taken it. You see now a bunch of teams rotate to the front side, and then there's just no height. Just nobody's playing it. Zoom out from far away, you can see there's not a single team who's decided just to go up and crank. It's just entirely free. So because of that, Nathan is just like, all right, well, I might as well just go up. They start to tarp towards the front side, accidentally get stuck before Sky and Scroll. But if you look, Nebs just realized there's no one up there, so he takes it. This is the 9th zone, as I mentioned. The replays are still very annoying. As I also mentioned, still seeing 0. But this is the 9th zone. So still 10th, 11th, and 12th. 3 moving zones left. And, of course, there's like a whole minute left in this moving zone, too. So now, from here, you can just see Focus is doing exactly what you might expect a height retake. Looking up, scouting to see where he can actually go from. It's similar to Veno and Curve, sitting, playing the pizzas, crouching in the backside, popping a bomb in a spot that they probably might not expect. And then overdrive nading up onto height. Bang, shot onto Nebs that was at that point. And then I think they just successfully retake height from here. If I zoom out. Oh, good shot. Yap. Did Yapko come up at the same time? Oh, no, I think Focus ended up falling down here. Oh, yeah, Focus ended up falling down at the same time and fighting someone else. But as you'll notice, they did manage to successfully retake height. Thomas was further up above there. Nebs has been pushed off, and everyone's just sent that back down to the lobby. So, yes, there was a single nade to retake height. However, this time in the 9th zone, rather than what most people are doing, was like end of 10th, kind of start of 11th. Now, if I just 4x this through this, I'm not going to make you watch the entire end game, of course, here. But what we're seeing right now is basically what happens all the way down to the end of the game. As you notice, not a single team's looking to come up. No one's doing anything. They're just chilling on height, and everyone else is just kind of scuffed down below fighting. Comes down to a 1v2. They get chopped. Thomas drops. Akira goes for the shot. But of course, there's some server lag. It's the 2v1. Akira takes height. Nice retake from there. Obviously, just kind of jumping up. Dual nades. They both fly up. Akira starts to get shot. 63. Good shot from Thomas. He goes down. Now Focus is left in the 1v1 against Akira. Big HP advantage. He unfortunately throws himself into the storm, which does not help. Gets tagged by a couple good shots. Starts to run low on mats. Nice little edit. Edit again. Tries to crouch. Misses. Trying to play safe for the angles. Starting to run low on builds. Akira's got 9, so he's got the advantage. Sprays out. Yeah, and they get 1v2'd. Unfortunately, you know, they were looking to win this tournament and then ended up coming second, ironically, to Akira and Kurma. He got 8 kills. He was going crazy that game, so a little bit of foresight in what was going on. But the main point was they took height in 9th zone and then held it all the way through the moving zones. Now, if we actually look at the rest of the matches, 9th zone, that was the game we just watched there. Focus and Thomas took height super early, 9th zone, and then they placed second that game. Focus and Thomas, they took height in the game number 3 in the 10th zone, and they won that game. This game, they took height in the 8th zone, and not a single player retook it from them, and they're able to hold it all the way to winning the game again. And there's tons of other examples. This final game here by Axe Force and Roban, they won the match by taking it in the 9th zone super early. So the trend we're starting to see here is the fact that, of course, previously in FNCS Grand Finals, height was a mess. Everybody was going for it. But now, all of a sudden, nobody's retaking height. No one's doing this nade strat really at all anymore. So if I search in here, right, Overdrive. Out of the height retakes, that was the one we just watched, which was Focus and Thomas here. They full sent with the overdrive nade from below, which, as we already know, I did have to write. They got 1v2'd by Kira, unfortunately. This height retake here was an overdrive nade, not from the storm, so they just flew up from below. This here was from Chap and Flexi, was an overdrive grenade from the storm. This here was just cranking when they had the overdrive effect on, so it wasn't necessarily like a storm one. And this one was accidentally retaking it when they tried to overdrive from back to front, and they landed on Cammy, who was on height because they weren't playing height very high. So out of the 6 games here, we had 1 and then 2 retakes which were done from the storm with overdrive. So 2 out of the very few retakes were still using this. But then if you go to here, look at how many, if I maybe move this up a little, you can see how many different ones we had every single game. Overdrive from below, overdrive from backside. So there obviously is like a massive change in the meta. I also add the same thing's true here. However, I actually think there was less overdrive. We got 2 here. There was 2 naded. I didn't write overdrive, but there were so many retakes and times people took height when I just put it was free. So a lot of these in the 8th zone is just no one was on height, so like it was free, so they took it. Here they got chopped and then no one retook it, so like Iomzo and Josh there were just, oh, height's free, I'm just going to climb up, which was so many. So we've had like in 2 weeks a huge change of the actual height meta. Now the most obvious way that you could think this has happened is just purely because of the success of Sky and Scrolls Grand Finals. Obviously they won on EU and they were incredibly dominant, just playing basically mid-ground layers, and then in the final few moving zones just claiming front side of low every single game and just absolutely rinsing everyone off, right? Obviously the benefit of playing low ground is the fact that if you manage to get the front side, every single player who has low mats towards those like last final 2 moving zones just ends up dropping on top of you. And if they drop on top of you, you get free eliminations and you get siphon mats that kind of refreshed. So both for Sky and Scroll here, they massively benefited from the mentalness that was on height. I made a whole video basically of this on my main channel. I've already discussed this a lot. But my theory now is that every single person has just seen what these guys are doing, and of course what like Pablo and Chino were doing as well. Like no height. The top 2 players on the region, or top 2 teams on the region, were both not playing height at all. And now I think everyone's just gone, oh well, not going to psycho on height anymore. I'm just going to try and play low ground instead. Now, I did tweet this after game number 5 on day 1, saying prediction for this year is that every team is just going to start maining low ground after the Sky and Scroll performance. And that's kind of basically what is happening as we're seeing it right now. Everyone's saying this is not a high ground season. This is a low ground masterclass. Queasy Veno brainwashed everyone too much. No. But height is now back because everyone is trying to play low ground. And the funniest side consequence of this, obviously it's not just entirely, I'm sure these guys played much better than they have previously, is that Queasy and Verdoxy have now qualified by playing height, I would say every single game. Only took 10 division cuts for people to stop sending height every single game, every moving with shockwaves. For reference, this has been Queasy's placement so far this year. It's not great in the division cup finals. This one here will be the one who qualified for it. This one's not happened yet, so not be great. But now with this meta shift, this has opened up an opportunity for Queasy on height to make his way through the finals. Funny now, Raz has commented on that. Took a couple of Scroll and Sky VODs, winning every tournament now. Try playing low ground. It's hell on earth. So basically everyone is trying to play low ground, which has opened up high ground, hilariously enough. So here's the cycle, which I think is really funny. Everyone plays height and it doesn't work. Sky and Scroll when FNCS playing low to mid. Everyone now plays low to mid. Now height's free again. And then Queasy quals. This is great. This is great. This image may be relevant depending on how they do in finals though. I will be really interested in seeing what the summit meta is going to be, because will this like flip and forth, back and forward? I do not know. Good thing to note, by the way, if you're in lower divisions, this is not happening. Everyone's still just sending ascending height. They've not thought about this yet. If you're in Div 5, forget all of this. Play the game the way you want to. Like the video, subscribe. Peace.